seam on your kayak, or the tape edge as we call it. We'll just run through a simple repair and how to do it. The beauty of a tape edge is all kayaks are made in two pieces, a top and a bottom, and they're glued together, and the tape edge just seals the actual joint of the kayak. So we'll just run through how to do it. What we've done is we've taken a kayak here that sadly fell off the roof of a customer's car. So we're just going to show you how to repair a small section of the seam. What we do here is we're just going to mark off the area that we're going to grind with a grinder. You need to make sure that the area that you're going to repair is dry. Obviously, if there's any water in here, it won't be very good to do the repair afterwards. But what we'll do is we'll mark it off, and then he'll come and he'll grind off or remove the old seam so we can put a new seam on. This is just standard masking tape that you can buy at any hardware store. Just, we're basically just masking up. The reason he's masking it up is you also don't want to scratch or damage the other parts of your kayak when you're sanding it. What we've done here is we just use a traditional grinder with a grinding disc, and we've ground off the old seam where it was cracked and damaged. So you can see the old seam has been ground off, making sure that the surface area is nice and smooth and uniform. Otherwise, if it's not, when you put the glass tape on the top, your finished area will be nice and bumpy. So we make it nice and smooth. We check that the area itself is still bonded. If it's not bonded, like over here where it isn't bonded, what we'll do is we will glue this back together again before we put the glass tape on. We're gluing the area that's come apart, so we'll put some glue inside. Wiping it off, making sure, like I said, nice and smooth. That's it. Now we're ready to put the seam back on. So basically what we've done here is we've bonded the two areas back together where the damaged area was. Very, very simple and easy to do. And now we'll just put the seam, which, like I said, is the decorative strip, more bit of insurance on the outside, and also we can paint the seam different colors to make it match or make it look pretty. So we're using a 25mm glass tape. Okay, this is a fiberglass tape. We will take this tape and stick it over 2 layers and put resin and everything on it. Even though we're only repairing a small area of the seam like this, the process that we're doing is identical to when you manufacture a kayak. So it's the strength or weakness of your kayak hasn't been made any less or anything like that. It is exactly the same concept to do the complete kayak seam. In our case, what we're doing is we're just doing a small area that was damaged, and we're just going to finish it off, and it will look exactly the same as a new seam would have looked after a kayak is manufactured. Okay, what we've got here is standard general purpose resin. Alright, what we've done is we've mixed it with the aerosol or cabosol powder to make it nice and thick, like toothpaste. The reason obviously that is so it doesn't run away when we're sticking the seam on. So we will put this on and put the glass tape on top of it. Another benefit of using the cabosol powder in the resin is it's much softer to sand afterwards, so you can get a much smoother finish. So what we'll do now is we'll put this on, put the glass tape on, and then you'll see. Okay, so it's nice and thick, so you can now stick the glass tape on. Okay, there we go. So we've applied two layers of glass tape. Use the resin mix to apply it. You can see it's very nice and thick. Obviously much easier for it to sand. Once it dries now, it'll be a much easier surface to sand. So what we'll do is we'll wait for this to dry. We're removing some of the masking tape, one of the masking tape layers before it dries. The reason you do that, now obviously it's a lot easier to remove this when it's wet than after it's dried. So you can see now all we have to do is basically sand the tape and the edges. There's no resin on the boat from the masking tape being removed. Very similar concept to when you're spray painting an area. Before the paint dries, you'll remove the tape so that that area doesn't stick to it. Now this area, the glass tape, once this is dried, we will come with a sander again and we'll sand it back, and then we'll paint a finish coat on. So we'll let this dry and then you'll come back to snow. Okay, so the area that we repaired is now dry. What we'll do now is we'll sand it back and then we'll finish it off with the color. So we'll use this grinder and you'll sand this back nice and smooth. We'll show you how nice and smooth it is, and then you'll paint the final finish coat. Okay, we finished sanding. It's nice and smooth, you can see. Nice and smooth. Obviously, the smoother the surface, the better the finish will be when you paint the finish coat on. What we'll do now is we'll put a bit of masking tape over it. You'll paint the finish coat, which in this case will be black, or your color. You'll paint that over, and then your seam is now finished and repaired. That's simple. There we go, and that's your finished seam. You can see nice and shiny and smooth. Painted with a nice flow coat, finished off, repaired. In fact, that now looks as good as a brand new seam, and that's how simple it is to repair a seam.